So you're voting for Trump.
I am.
Is there anything particular that stands out to you as like why you need to support him?
Okay. I didn't used to believe that your vote should be primarily a vote against anyone, but that has changed for me recently. The number one reason I'm voting for him is he's the only candidate I see right now who's not speaking woke. Even Jo Jorgensen, the Libertarian candidate.
Oh man,
I wanted to vote for her. She's speaking woke.
Can you? It sounds like you're parroting my opinions.
He said the other thing last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I hate that. I never want to vote against anybody. I don't believe in that. I believe in standing up. But I felt at first for a while I felt really forced. Like I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, am I really gonna walk in there and vote for Trump? I have no choice. Like I see what they're doing and this ideology is doing, and Trump is resisting it. Now with the Afghanistan thing, I got to be honest, that was big for me. I'm like, I'll take it. You know what I mean? But Jo Jorgensen, Libertarian Party, the premise of which is don't tread on me, quite literally said, we must be actively anti-racist. And I said, no, we mustn't do anything libertarian. I'm not trying to be mean. I think she didn't realize what she was doing or saying. But
she's just repeating it.
Exactly. And that's even worse in my opinion.
Yeah, because then you're doing it mindlessly. You're taking a knee to the ideology and just basically saying, I will be beholden to this belief system without even realizing what it is. Like inviting a vampire into your house.
And when you look up the definition of the ideology of anti-racism, like you said, it's
racism.
It's racism. It's like being constantly cognitive to racial identity and racial structures. And I'm like judging, and it says judging people based on this. And I said, no, I will not be having any of this. I've received tons of messages from people who said they don't like Trump and they were going to vote libertarian until she tweeted that.
Until she did that.
And now they realized this infection, this cult, whatever, is so widespread.
It is.
Even the libertarians are embracing it. And it feels like hopefully there's a silent majority that it's all washing over the silent majority, and eventually they'll all rise up and say enough and vote for Trump because he's the one who's saying no to this.
Yeah.
I'll say hopefully.
So I can say some things I like about him. It's not, I just want to be honest that mostly I'm voting against social justice ideology, and that's not a one issue vote, by the way, because your ideology influences every single policy decision you're going to make. But there are some things he's done that I like. I like the right to try.
Absolutely.
Bill that we talked about. I like prison reform. I like he made the AIDS drugs free. I like that he's done things that people on the left should be able to say, you know what? I like that thing, even though I don't like him. And they're not able to do that. Why is that? Ideology, tribalism, cultism. Didn't he just reduce the price of EpiPens and insulin? Well, it was an executive order. So I don't. What a racist. Right. It's a deceptive media, and it scares me when they try and compare him to Hitler because he says fake news. And I worked in the news industry, and they told me to lie. Wow. To clarify, side with the audience. Yeah. Side with the audience. What does that mean? And I asked, does that mean if there's a factual news story that would offend the audience, we don't report it? Yeah, I think that's fair. Wow. Omission. Yep. So if there's think about that in practice. There's a fight. Proud Boys, Antifa. If I say that Antifa hit the Proud Boy and started the fight, that would offend the audience. We don't report it. Wow. So then what do we report? A fight broke out. Antifa got beat up. So it frames it by omitting that information. That's what they told me to do. I think, Didn't you quit? Well, I tried. Okay. And I was under contract. And so they ended up giving me a bonus because I think what they were trying to do is like, fall in line, buddy. Fall in line, buddy. The money is good. And I said, dude, I can make money. That's not my mission. My mission is better understanding of the world, helping people understand the world to the best of my abilities. I would be happy sitting down by the lake fishing all day and night. I'm not worried about your golden, handcuffs. So when the contract was up, I was gone. I said, no, thank you. Yeah. They tried though. I'm not playing ball. And some of the people who worked there would call me a white supremacist behind my back. And that was the craziest thing to have white progressives telling me this. And I never even said anything to them. It was just, I wouldn't fall in line. So
They've absolutely altered the definition of white supremacist while they quite literally are.
I saw them call Charles Barkley a white supremacist. They'll call anybody a white supremacist who doesn't believe. Again, people have to get over their fear of name. Who cares what they call you? You know what you are.
Yep.
Like,
well, they're worried about getting fired.
Yeah.
Cancel culture.
I want to say one thing. I don't know how long this lasts, so I want to make sure I say this. If you are afraid now of speaking, and I get it, all those fears are legitimate. Your job, people are afraid of losing their job. People are afraid of their family's safety. They're afraid of losing friends, like their social standing. I get it. But just imagine where we'll be in 10 to 15 years if you don't speak now, if people don't start speaking now. And you don't have to get a podcast or go, wear a MAGA hat or, pick your battles. You can just start by having don't be afraid in a conversation with friends or family to push back a little bit.
Yeah. You be polite.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not getting overly angry. And
yep.
I'm personally not interested in emotional victories. You know what I really don't like is there are some people who will try and feign a good conversation. You're talking to your family member, they start getting angry, and they'll be like, "You don't need to get angry at me. No, none of that." You say, "I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make you mad. No, seriously. Like you want to chill, and we'll just come back 5 minutes from now. I'm not. Please don't get mad. I'm sorry. I got you angry. I just want to talk to you."
Yeah.
Try and actually have these conversations with people. It's not easy.
You have to be. It's not easy. It's like going to the gym, and you have to do it. Practice a lot. Yeah. You can't just go to the gym once. And some days you're going to not go to the gym and you're going to suck at it and you're not going to be nice.
Yeah, you can't win them all,
But then the next day you try again. And I really try and remember that is like, okay, I used to believe this stuff for 20 years. So whenever I get a little where I'm kind of angry at these people or whatever in a conversation, I try and remember what would I've said to my younger self. You have to be that soft landing place for when people wake up.
What would you say to your younger self or to an SJW to like kind of open the door and have, kind of a wake up moment for them?
Here's a question I haven't heard anyone answer yet. I told Lydia this today. Okay. So one of the things they try to do is they are really concerned with redefining words because, as we've talked about, they redefine anti-racism, everything.
Yeah.
So they have to redefine words because controlling thought is how they control people. So how do you get people who are against racism or sexism to treat people differently on the basis of race and sex? Well, you tell them, there are these new definitions for racism and sexism now. And these new definitions say that racism and sexism equal prejudice plus power. And that means that it's impossible to be racist towards white people or it's impossible to be sexist towards men. So they push this and they're teaching kids this, right? So here's my question. And this is in good faith. Let's say I accept your definition and okay, we're going to start teaching that racism is prejudice plus power and it's impossible to be racist towards white men. At what measurable end goal will it suddenly become possible to be racist towards white men again? How can we tell? And then practically, how do you put the genie back in the bottle? How do you roll this back now that you've taught generations of children that racism is impossible against a specific race? And the same thing for sexism. How do you measure? When have we reached the equality point for you where we wake up one day and we're like, oh, wow, now it's possible to be sexist towards men. Okay, now we've got to go teach the kids something else. How do you do that? They can never answer that for me.
Well, you see what, in colleges, men are the marginalized community because colleges are predominantly female now. There are more women in college than men.
True.
Or there are more women graduating. And so we've actually seen a wave of lawsuits over the past couple of years where they're still doing like women in STEM and things like this. Mm-hmm. Well, there's still a disproportionate amount of men relative to women, but there are programs like Women Learn X and Women Do X. And there have been lawsuits saying if women are the majority in these schools, then how do you justify a program that benefits women? It's benefiting the majority, and they've been winning.
Yeah.
Actually dissolving these women's groups. I think ultimately where this ends is no civil rights for anybody. Because you think about the logical conclusion of anyone being any identity they want. People who are, I think it was Brown University says if you're a person of color, you just identify as it, and then you get the privileges afforded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's the end result? Men and women competing on the same teams as they desire, which ultimately would result in biological males just dominating every bracket.
No gendered sports.
Yeah, no gendered sports. And, no programs to benefit anybody. They lump every, Asian into one group, and ultimately it just results in No civil rights for anybody. But not in the sense that it's like a meritocracy anymore.
Right.
In the sense where it's like everybody is equally being hurt.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, look at some of the results of what's happened with things going too far, because you have companies now where men are saying they don't want to take meetings alone with women.
Oh, totally.
And that makes absolute sense.
Yep.
Because now culturally we've arrived at a point where I believe all women, just nonsense. Mm-hmm. And so why would you take that risk? And so women are hurting because we've taken things so far. And I know some people are like they're even hesitating to hire women now, because what happens if you fire them, and what could the woman say? And now we believe all women.
What would happen if a male coworker walked in and I went, "Damn, Jack, if you've been working out, you're looking great. That's a new suit. Stunning. I'm impressed." Now imagine a woman walking in and me saying the exact same thing. "Woo, Janet. Wow, you've been working out. You look great.
Tim,
that's
you
a
creep.
Stunning dress. Wow, I'm impressed."
So creepy.
It doesn't work. You could walk up to a guy and pat him on the shoulder and grab his elbow and be like, "Good job." You do that to a woman. Whew, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's that right there where you realize men and women have different expectations. Guys can give maybe it's inappropriate. Guys shouldn't be even touching it all. Fine. I think, the reason why I think it ends up with everyone being equally hurt, no rights for anybody, is that to truly get equality, you must find the lowest common denominator. So that means the lowest, marginalized person, everyone must be hindered to that degree.
Yes. They want us.
I'm sorry. What's that short story?
Harrison Bergeron.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This woman is me. I love it so much.
That story is, you're right. It's short. It's not, it's Kurt Vonnegut. It's anybody can read it in one sitting, and wow. You're right, Lydia. That's exactly what we're living through.
Exactly.
They put, so the people who are good looking have to wear bags over their head so that everyone is equally unattractive. The people who are smart have to have a noisemaker in their ear to disrupt their thoughts. The most talented dancers have weights on their arms. And this is a social justice utopia, guys. Yep. We're all equally awful at everything.
That's an amazing story, because after one of the shows, someone sent it to me. And it's like, it ends with this super ripped, chiseled 7-foot dude just like ripping everything off and dancing with a beautiful woman or something.
Yeah.
It's
perfect.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be that magical, I guess, when it comes crashing down. I fear that true liberalism, classical liberalism, the idea of the consent of the governed, individual rights and responsibilities, was hard earned. We fought very, very hard for this over a long period of time. And even when this country was founded, we didn't have it perfect. And it's taken a lot of, conversations over hundreds of years to get to where we are now, where people are more likely to have their rights granted and protected.
Yeah.
So they want to turn the clock back. They want to go back in time. They want to erase all that stuff. It is not liberalism. And so what I fear is going to happen, we've grown complacent. Not us, obviously. We are sitting here saying like, yeah.
As a culture, we've grown complacent.
It's that saying, hard times make strong men, strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. So maybe we're in for a hard times, coming forward. I mean, we're in hard times. Look, we got the pandemic, we got the economic crisis and whatever. Can't even travel outside of the country for the most part. So we're in hard times now.
I think we are maybe going to enter some version of the Dark Ages, but with like really scary technology. And then after that, though, I do think there's a place for enlightenment again. I think there will be a reaction. I think that reaction's already starting. You're starting to see people speaking up against it, and you're starting to see liberals finally getting the courage to stand up and say, this is not liberalism.
I think if the silent majority does exist, and I think we believe it does, because we've gone over a bunch of the data. There's a Cato Institute poll. 62% of people are scared to speak certain opinions.
Yeah.
The only faction is the far left, where the majority feels comfortable speaking their opinions. That says to me that I believe the silent majority is real. I think the Democrats know they're going to lose. We'll see. I'm not a psychic. It's just what I'm looking at now. Sure, Biden's up in the polls, but now Trump has closed in battleground states to a point, to 1 point, which is well within the margin of error.
Yeah.
Trump very well may actually get a solid victory. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a major landslide, however. If that happens, I think we're in for really good times.
You think so?
Well, there's the possibility of war with China, to be completely fair. But you look at the economy under Trump for 3 years, and the only bad times we had was the media wouldn't shut up.
Yeah. And there was some rioting and stuff, but the economy was incredible. The best numbers of our lives, says Jim Cramer. I talked to locals around my area, and they said they've never made more money in their lives. It's the best year ever.
Yeah.
And they were celebrating that COVID hit. So I think if Trump wins, the economy is going to reignite. Trump's going to do what he did over the past several years. The jobs are going to come back. The economy is going to erupt. People are going to be happy, and it's going to be...
Gosh, Tim, I hope you're right.
Well,
I really do. I'm a little worried about how long the media is going to play this corona thing out. In the same way that you said they're bringing Russiagate back. I'm not saying the virus is real, obviously, but I think the media manipulation and the media-induced hysteria over it.
Yep.
How long are they going to use that as a weapon?
There have been several threads popping up and stories suggesting we may have already hit herd immunity a long time ago. But because of the way the narrative works, you're only allowed to say the end is nigh.
Yeah.
So it actually, might be doing we might be doing a lot better. Like we've seen an increase in cases, but a decrease in hospitalizations, and now the cases are going back down again, which suggests, at least some of the threads I've seen from various journalists, herd immunity. I think if Trump wins, he's untethered. He has to worry. He's done as much as he could. Now he's got a re-election to worry about, so he can do more. And there were some problems early on with his administration I was not a fan of. He brought on John Bolton, and I, barfed in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
And now he's doing a lot better. He is. And considering the existential threat I see from overt far-left white supremacy groups, racial collectivists, I'm like, I'll take the good economy and the jobs and the ending the war. These things are great. Could we get a more professional ideal of a president? Probably, but if it's Trump, I've decided we need someone not woke to win.
Yes.
And if Trump wins, then he's going to be able to do whatever he wants, not worrying about re-election, and that's his true time to shine. The media lies about him being a fascist have been completely disproven. He did not deploy the feds to various cities. And I'm talking about the law enforcement, not the investigators. And if he did, maybe the riots wouldn't have...
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was a media lie. Trump deployed FBI, ATF, and DEA. They're helping doing desk work. But we saw that mass looting in Chicago, that would have been stopped if Trump did deploy federal law enforcement. But he's not doing it because he's not... it really bothers me when they say Trump should have done better on COVID. And I'm like, under the 10th Amendment, the states are responsible, and he's not going to intervene.
Well, speaking of calling him Hitler, like you said earlier, these are the people who had convinced me he was a demagogue and an authoritarian. I cried the night he was elected. I really believed all that stuff. And then to watch them now saying, like during COVID, why aren't you acting more like an authoritarian? Please be an authoritarian.
I know.
And again, I think part of this is that what the idea you were hitting upon about this sort of projection about these people with white supremacist beliefs preaching social justice ideology because it is another form of white supremacy. It's weird.
It's a Trojan horse.
It's a Trojan horse, but it's also similar. I remember when he was being inaugurated, I saw that Antifa and some other people they'd planned this whole disrupt the inauguration thing, J20 or something they called it. Okay, so I went to their website at the time and I was looking at it. And one of the things they said, one of their goals was that they said they wanted to cause so much chaos and disruption that he had to show himself to be the authoritarian that he really was and be sworn in behind closed doors like the dirty little authoritarian he is. It's like, wait a minute. Amazing. So you're forcing him to be sworn in behind closed doors? Doesn't that mean you're on the side of dark, authoritarianism? They don't get it. They're pushing the very thing they claim to be against.
You know what I really can't stand is they do the memes on the political compass. And they always put Antifa in the bottom left libertarian.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Antifa is not, left libertarian are hippies. I always say it, sitting on a farm, sharing the watermelon they just grew. It's hippies smoking pot being like, you want some of my watermelon, bro? Yeah, for sure. Hey, I put up a hammock. You can use it if you want. Thanks. It doesn't work at large scale. It works for a bunch of hippies sitting on a farm. Antifa are authoritarians. They believe in using violence against other people to get what they want. They're enforcing their ideological authority over you with threats of fear and violence.
Yeah.
Trump is not doing that. And they desperately want him to.
They want him to be that.
Now they're complaining he's not. Why didn't he? I was talking to a friend of mine from back in Chicago. He's like, why didn't Trump fix COVID? And I said, well, it's 10th Amendment. I mean, Trump can handle the federal government, and he's done that. He's banned travel. He's put out guidance programs, but the states are responsible for what they do. That's why you've got Sunbelt states that have done great. South Dakota done great. Democratic states have failed. And they're like, no, it's Trump's responsibility. He's the one. And I'm like, you want him to overrule all the governors and just take over? Yeah. You know, man.
Yeah.
It's the same old story, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.